Something's got a hold on me lately. No, I don't know myself anymore. Feels like the walls are all closing in, and the devil's knocking at my door. Whoa, out of my mind. How many times did I tell you I'm no good at being alone? Yeah, it's taking a toll on me. Trying my best to keep from tearing the skin off my bones. Don't you know I lose control when you're not next to me? I'm falling apart right in front of you. Can't you see? I lose control when you're not next to me. Yeah, you're breaking my heart, baby. You make a mess of me. Problematic. Problem is I want your body like a fiend, like a bad habit. Bad habits hard to break when I'm with you. Yeah, I know I could do it on my own, but I want that real full moon, black magic, and it takes two. Problematic. Problem is when I'm with you, I'm an addict, and I need some relief. My skin and your teeth, can't see the forest through the trees. Got me down on my knees, darling, please. Oh, I lose control when you're not next to me. I'm falling apart right in front of you. Can't you see? I lose control when you're not next to me. Yeah, you're breaking my heart, baby. You make a mess of me. I lose control when you're not here with me. I'm falling apart right in front of you. Can't you see? I lose control when you're not here with me. Yeah, you're breaking my heart, baby. You make a mess of me.
He come old flat top, he come grooving up slowly. He got juju eyeball, he one holy roly. He got head down to his knees. He's got to be a joker, he just do what he please. Ooh. He wear no shoe shine, he got toe jam football, he got monkey finger, he shoot Coca-Cola. He say, I know you, and you know me. One thing I can tell you is you got to be free. Come together right now over me. Ooh. He bag production, he got Walrus Gumbo, he got Ono Cyborg, he won Spinal Cracker, he got feet down below his knees. Hold you in his armchair, you can feel his disease. Come together right now. Oh,
Was it something she said? Maybe something he did? I could play along, look the other way. If there's something, baby, you should let them all know. It's not giving in when you're letting go. If you're thinking about taking the high road, I can tell you that you're doing it wrong. There's a better way of letting it all go. 'Cause you've been running from the feeling too long. Way too long. Did you let it all go? Should you let the girl know? Did she do you wrong? Need a lighter load? Were they holding you down? Was he yelling too loud? Did they break your heart back? Are you acting proud? If it's something, baby, you should let them all know. It's not giving in when you're letting go. If you're thinking about taking the high road, I can tell you that you're doing it wrong. There's a better way of letting it all go. 'Cause you've been running from this feeling too long. Oh, so you wanna paint a picture of every little thing that I did wrong. Now you're thinking about taking the high road. 'Cause the road you're walking's taking too long. It's that simple, baby.
Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3.
You should let 'em all know. It's not giving in when you're letting go. If you're thinking about taking the high road, I can tell you that you're doing it wrong. There's a better way of letting it all go. 'Cause you've been running from this feeling too long. Oh, so you wanna paint a picture of every little thing that I did wrong.
Check 1.
Now you're thinking that you might take the high road. 'Cause the road you're walking taking too long. Well, you can tell by the way I use my walk. I'm a woman's man, no time to talk. Music loud and women walk. Been kicked around since I was born. And nothing's gonna change the way we live. 'Cause we can always take but never give. And now that things are changing for the worse, see. Oh, life's going nowhere. Somebody help me. Somebody help me, yeah. Futures made of virtual insanity now always seem to.
Check, check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Check, check, check. Bit high.
Just tell me if it's hot enough.
It's hot?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
You can bring it down.
Yep. Check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Keep down. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Virtual insanity now always seem to be Turn down the lights, turn down the bed, turn down these voices inside my head. Lay down with me, tell me no lies, just hold me close, don't patronize, don't patronize.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'll just ask you if you could take your seats, if possible. We're going to get started just in about the next minute or so, this wonderful program that we have today. So please feel free to come in and find your seat, and we'll just be getting started in a sec. Started here. All right, good morning, everyone. Thanks very much for grabbing your seats. We are about to embark on a very special and very incredible morning together. What a privilege it is to be your MC for the day. My name is Ry Moran. I'm the Associate University Librarian Reconciliation here at the University of Victoria. And I'm going to be helping guide us through this conversation that's going to be unfolding over the course of the morning. You know, as we come into the room and as we sit down and we sort of ground ourselves, I think this is one of those moments where we can all just pause and reflect on the history that's actually being created right in this very moment here. This day that we're celebrating is the product of a lot of hard work by leaders in the room, Val Napoleon and many, many others. The culmination of years of dreams and commitments to rebuild Indigenous legal orders and an extraordinarily ambitious plan to see the recreation, the creation of 5 distinct Indigenous legal orders. So we're standing at this incredible moment, this relationship between past, present, and future as we think about the legacy that's being left for future generations being made right in this room here today. So before we get into the heart of the program, it's very important that we open in a good way, and I'd like to ask Dr. Butch Dick to come up and open us up and acknowledge the territory that we're in. So.
Aiko Chelsea, MCA, Asa Yuhelpton, Shaleasan Lakwangan. Asiam nu Chelacha, Asiam nu Schwalaka, Haishkwa Kansana, Seistro Lakwangan Tanuk, Haishkasiam Nukilia. Good morning, my friends and family. My First Nation name is Yuhelpton, comes from the Saanich area, and my English name is Butch Dick, and it's my great honor to be here this morning for the celebration. And I wish you a good morning and wish you also a good day. In thinking about today, I think, the work that's done in this log house at the law school is very important. And as I look at all the backboard with all the squatta, the crows, and the steps that they take, I think are the steps that are mimicked in our lives. Sometimes they're little baby steps, and sometimes they're great leaps and bounds. But it's important for the nations to keep up with that. Celebration and ceremony is vital to all of our communities, regardless of where they're from. And we as Lekwungen people honor that because of the diversity on our lands now. We welcome everyone and respect and honor their traditions and ceremony, which is vital to the survival of our culture and the teachings around ceremony. Not only is this passed on to the young so that they can remember and practice what they've been taught. That happens in our longhouse. What's important is that we open our hearts and minds to the teachings of the elders and ancestors because they have carried this to this point in time. They probably would be so happy to see what is happening with Indigenous law and how everybody in every community can benefit from an understanding of our traditional laws and ways of life. Protecting what we have and sustaining what we have is extremely important to our young people. But they must learn to listen also. I have a quote that I found very appropriate, believe it or not, on Facebook. I know you laugh, but there are some good things that happen on Facebook, I suppose. But this was a quote from George Erasmus. I think he was from the Yukon. And he was part of the First Nation leadership a long, long time ago. And if you go online, you can find all kinds of cool quotes from George. But the foresight in this really moved me so much that I brought it to the caucus of the NDP when I spoke to them. It says, where common memory is lacking, where people do not share in the same past, there cannot be no real community. Where a community is to be formed, common memory must be formed. So I thank you. And I tried to pronounce the name, and I practiced all night, but I won't try it. So thank you very much for this honor. Thank you.
In just a little while, you'll hear from the Secwépemc team, so I'm not going to take any time to explain us, but as the Secwépemc team coming to your beautiful territories that you stewarded since time immemorial, we wanted to offer you some gifts from the land for welcoming us here today, and that we have the privilege to interact with folks who live, work, and play here. So, Kukchachim.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elder Dick. Moving on through the program here, I think just building on some of the words that were shared, there's some very, very powerful visions that are shared within some of the materials that have been put together, and I just want to share them as we move into our next speakers. This document that talks about the work that's happening as we gather says that creating a just future in Canada requires fulfilling the long-standing promises that have been made to Indigenous peoples, that our authority, legal systems, and ways of being and governing ourselves would be respected. I think picking up what was said, in an increasingly polarized world, this work is more vital than ever to building stronger citizenries and respectful relationships. And when I think about what we're trying to do here at the University of Victoria and the establishment and maintenance of respectful relationships, there's nobody more better suited to speak to this than our president, Quiltsiamat, Dr. Robina Thomas, who's going to come up and make a few remarks to all of us now. So thank you, Robina.
Obviously much taller than me. Asiam na sieu, siam na squalaqua. Good day, respected friends and relatives. Antha Quiltsiamat. My name is Quiltsiamat. My English name is Robina Thomas. Tanitsin Alt Layaksin. I'm a member of Layaksin Nation, and I have ancestral ties through my grandmother to Snuneymuxw and through my grandfather to Stalo territories. Haichka Sulquain. I raise my hands with the deepest of respect to all of the elders in the room, each and every one of you. I don't know you all, but thank you for the guidance and direction you give us, not just today, but every day, for the teachings, for your patience, for your wisdom. I'm forever grateful, and I look around and I see many of the people that have guided me over the years. Haichka Siem to the Hualmumastimo in the room, the Indigenous people. It's interesting for us to come to these spaces sometimes because we're not talking about a topic or an idea, we're talking about our lives, and sometimes we're talking about the importance of our lives and what it means to be a Hualmumastimo in some of the precarious places that we find ourselves. And so I really honor the Hualmumastimo in the room, and thank you for continuing to show up and continuing to bring your good hearts and your good minds and to really help us and give us more courage to continue to do the work that we do. I also want to thank all the chiefs in the room, and I know there's a few chiefs, but particularly Lahalawitsat, the hereditary chief of Layaksin Mastimo, the nation I belong to, Shanna Thomas. I really want to thank the chiefs for being here. I want to thank the community members, faculty, staff, students, alum, and all of the judiciary and legal professionals that are with us, government representatives and partners who joined us. And there's too many to name, and lots of people don't want to be named because so many of us do this work because it matters, not because we need recognition. And so I want everyone to know from the UVic that we absolutely recognize your support and the amount of support it takes to make a facility like this possible. So Haitsap Kasiyam Nasiyeyu. As an Indigenous woman and a scholar and a leader within this university, I carry a deep responsibility to ensure that our institution not only acknowledges Indigenous people, but actively includes respect and uplifts them. And I take this very, very serious. I think every day, I think about Yukwelaptin. I think every day when I get up, how honored I am and how privileged I feel to live on the lands that I live on. And I think about the Sangis and the Esquimalt people, and I think about what I owe them for the privilege to be on these lands. And I take that very seriously, and I want you to know that I think about that every day. UVic is leading the way in education and research, and the secrets to our success is through the strength of our partnerships with Indigenous people as creators, co-creators, leaders, and knowledge holders. We're privileged to have a powerhouse of Indigenous academics whose work spans language revitalization, environmental stewardship, and the resurgence of Indigenous legal orders. Their scholarship is not only transformative, it is deeply relational and community-based. And I see that every day in the work that's coming out of this building. The relationships, the importance of the relationships, and the importance of us being always connected to our communities and not to become arm's length from the work that we're doing. I traveled to Australia and New Zealand in these last couple of weeks, and every time I had an opportunity to speak with academics, they wanted to know about language revitalization and Indigenous law and what we're doing at UVic. And so these legacies spread around the world, and people are very, very interested in the work that we're doing here, and we should be very proud of the work that is happening. Our commitment to Indigenous inclusion is woven into the very fabric of UVic in many ways, through the values and priorities in our strategic plan and institutional plans, through the First Peoples House as a home away from home for Indigenous students, a place of safety, learning, and belonging, through our Elders' Voices program that brings cultural guidance and support to students and the broader university community, recognizing that elders are the foundation of Indigenous knowledge systems, and at our Indigenous recognition ceremonies, when students have an opportunity to speak about the things that matter to them at the end of their educational journeys, the majority of them acknowledge the role that elders have played in their success. They talk about, I wouldn't have made it had I not had an opportunity to sit with an elder and get that support. And so we can't downplay the importance of the elders and the support that they provide the students at UVic. And through the Office of Indigenous Academic and Community Engagement, we continue to build strong cultural, academic, and community connections. The Next Steps Building Indigenous Law initiatives is a powerful expression of this commitment to inclusion. Its bold, world-class research project that centers Indigenous law as a living, breathing system, one that brings clarity to decision-making, legitimacy to governance, and stability across jurisdictions. I remember at the opening a month ago, 6 weeks ago, how long ago it was, listening to the speaker talk about hakpai, talk about cedar. And he talked about the cedar that's in this room. And he told us, hakpai, the root of that is ha-ha, which is sacred, because that's how sacred cedar is to us. And he says, as you stand in this room, to think that we are actually being upheld by our ancestors. And I think about the power of law in that, and I've been sharing with Val how every time I think about this building, I actually think that the work that we're doing is being supported by our ancestors. And I think that that is the power of Indigenous law, that we can actually look at the construction of this building and think about those ties to the ancestors of these lands. That's the importance of this work. I really want to thank everyone who's contributed to this initiative, especially our Indigenous partners, scholars, and the Shwemic research team. Your work is visionary and it's deeply needed. And please, really thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to be such a small part of this amazing work. So in closing, just Haitsep Kasiem Nasieyu, thank you all for being here. Thank you for supporting this initiative. And thank you for allowing us to dream and have such an amazing vision here at UVic.
Thank you, President Thomas. I'd like to invite Dean Freya Kodar from the Faculty of Law here to bring some words next. Thank you.
Thanks, Rai. And I want to start by thanking Butch for the welcome to the territory and for grounding this work in the territory and the land. As Rai said, my name is Freya Kodar, and I have the honor and the privilege of being the dean at UVic Law. And I'm Estonian on my father's side, and my mother's family has its Canadian roots in 19th century Scottish settlers. And I grew up in Toronto in what I now know to be the historic lands of many Indigenous nations, including the Anishinaabe Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Huron-Wendat, and the current treaty holders, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. And so I'm a visitor to these territories, and I'm grateful to the Songhees, Kosapsum, and Wasanich people who continue to nurture their relationships with the lands and the waters that surround us. And I want to acknowledge the elders and the chiefs and the community members, the members of the judiciary and the legal profession, and all of the partners who are here to celebrate with us today. It's really an honor to be here for this historic moment, one that reflects years of vision and collaboration and hard work by our faculty and staff and students, and the Indigenous communities that we have worked with and continue to work with. And I want to acknowledge that this moment would not be possible without the support of the Law Foundation of British Columbia and its confidence in the project and its vision. As many of you know, this year marks the law school's 50th anniversary. And from its inception, the faculty sought to teach and learn and think about law differently. And over the years, we have created many unique and prescient initiatives, including our research and teaching on Indigenous law. And as President Thomas said, we have a growing international reputation in this area because of a number of these initiatives, including the Akitsrak program in Iqaluit, where starting in 2001, we delivered a one-time program to train Inuit lawyers in Nunavut. And the program was specifically adapted to Inuit traditional knowledge and laws, the Inuktitut language, and specific issues facing the territory. A second initiative was the Indigenous Law Research Unit, which started in 2012 as a national project in partnership with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, the Indigenous Bar Association, and the Law Foundation of Ontario. And ILRU's work helped to identify a broad demand from Indigenous communities for research partnerships to recover and revitalize Indigenous laws. And it continues to work in partnership with Indigenous communities to help stand up laws and articulate responses grounded in Indigenous law to contemporary problems facing the community. Now, the third initiative is our joint degree program in Canadian common law and Indigenous legal orders, the first of its kind in the world. And it's a 4-year program where students receive 2 professional degrees, a Canadian common law degree and a second degree, a JID, or Juris Indigenarum Doctor in Indigenous legal orders. And by combining classroom learning and community-based field schools, full-term courses where students are immersed in community, working on community-identified and community-led projects that are grounded in a particular Indigenous legal order, the JID program equips our students with the knowledge and the skills to work with Indigenous legal orders, with Canadian law, and at the interface between them. And last month, we celebrated the completion of this beautiful building that we are gathered in. And this Coast Salish-inspired Indigenous Law Wing provides much-needed classroom and spaces for teaching and learning Indigenous laws. And it is a space for national and international conversations, research, education, and training about Indigenous laws. And Next Steps, another world first, builds on these initiatives. And like them, it is Indigenous-led, community-centered, and relational. It aims to renew and rebuild 5 entire Indigenous legal orders across Canada. No initiative of this scale and scope has ever been undertaken. And so Next Steps is not just about rebuilding law, it's about reimagining the future. It's about creating a legal landscape where Indigenous legal orders stand strong alongside Canadian law, shaping a multi-juridical society that's rooted in respect, reciprocity, and justice. And I'm confident that this work will influence governance, strengthen communities, and inspire generations. And so thank you to everyone who has been part of this transformative journey, including, again, the Law Foundation for its confidence in all the faculty's work and for walking alongside us in all these initiatives. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dean Kodar. I'd now like to invite Dr. Sarah Morales, Associate Dean Indigenous from the Faculty of Law, and another one of the exceptional leaders that we are privileged to have here at UVic, to the stage to make some remarks for us all as well. Thanks, Sarah.
Haitchkarai. Aitsquel Siam. Entha Satafia Tanitsan Adkawitsan. My name is Sarah Morales. My traditional name is Satapia, and I'm a proud member of the Cowichan tribes. I am honored to speak today. I knew that was, yeah, thank you. But I could see my notes more clear without it down, so. Yes, I am honored to speak today as UVic Law's inaugural Associate Dean Indigenous, and as someone whose work is grounded in Coast Salish law and the Snawayath of the Hulkamina Mistimuth. I want to begin by expressing my gratitude to Elder Butch Stick for his beautiful welcome and the teachings that he shared, and also to all of you for being here today. I am struck by the people who have come so far and who have taken time away from their tremendous responsibilities that they have at home to come and celebrate this amazing initiative with us this morning. I think it is a testament to the importance of the work that will be done through this project. For me, Next Steps, Rebuilding Indigenous Law, is about responsibility and relationship. It is about making real and tangible the legal authority that our peoples have always carried. Authority that is now increasingly being recognized by courts, governments, and at the international level. That recognition is exciting, but it also brings about it a tremendous amount of work. Our nations need time, they need resources, and capacity rebuilding to revitalize our legal orders in ways that honor our teachings and uphold our responsibilities. My great uncle Angus Smith used to say, "We cannot do this work alone. Someone needs to be there to help us, to help our people." Next Steps answers that call. It supports communities in rebuilding their own legal orders in ways that are practical, respectful, and enduring, responding not only to the needs of today, but for generations to come. This work is powerful. It's powerful because it is community-driven and accountable. It honors that Indigenous law is lived, held in our stories, on our lands, and in our relationships. It is also in keeping with the Coast Salish principle of Not Samach Squalowin, working together with one mind, one heart, and one spirit. At a time when legal landscapes are shifting, when Indigenous jurisdiction is increasingly acknowledged, but not always understood, Next Steps offers a path forward, a way to build the clarity, the tools, and the processes our peoples need to exercise our laws in a good way. I am proud to walk alongside the incredible visionaries, leaders, thinkers, and communities carrying this work. Together, we are helping ensure that Indigenous law is not only recognized in our territories, but practiced, shaping a shared future that reflects all of our values and responsibilities within these lands. Haitzap Kasiyam.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Morales. Well, speaking of visionaries, I now have the privilege of inviting one of the most exceptional visionaries to the stage, Dr. Val Napoleon. Visionary that has led to this day, has led to so many of the incredible elements of work that have happened here at the University of Victoria, and has been charging a path forward on the resurgence and revitalization of Indigenous laws. What a privilege it is to call you a colleague here at the University of Victoria, and it's an even greater privilege to celebrate in this day and to call you to the stage to share your amazing gifts with all of us.
Amahilu. Good morning. This is, it's just so wonderful to be here, and thank you all for your spirits and generosity for sharing your time. Welcome to a day of transforming the legal imagination of Canada. So as others have said, this day is only possible because of the relentless work of generations of people. People for how many hundreds of years have continued to maintain that they are a people, that they, the work that they've been doing we are complete peoples with law, with land, with governance. All of this matters in the past and it matters today. A long time ago, one of the hereditary chiefs from Gitwangak, Fred Johnson, who was Lelt at the time, he talked about the future of Gitxsan peoples and of how Gitxsan law formed a small light, and that light was going to grow brighter through time, and it would be brighter and brighter in the world. So today, the work of maintaining that small light for all of our peoples and to grow that light is all of our responsibilities. The heart and the promise of law is about the ability to be lawful, to take care of our communities and our families and each other. Law is about being a people and about governing ourselves. It's about creating meaning, about thinking, about collaborating, and fundamentally it's about problem solving, and we create a lot of problems too. Today, as you've heard, is about creating this bigger legal imagination for Indigenous peoples and for Canada. And that bigger legal imagination is necessary because with next steps, we're increasing the scale of the work, the scope of rebuilding Indigenous law. To set the context for today, you heard Dean Coder talk about the Indigenous Law Research Unit, which has been working in partnerships with communities to rebuild sector by sector areas of law that comprise legal orders. We have amazing teams of people that have been doing that work with Hadley Friedland, Jessica Ash, Tara Williamson, and others. You heard about the Indigenous Law degree program, also part of the work that's gone on. And each stage of work makes another possibility for the work to continue. We've graduated 4 cohorts from that law degree program. And it's still the only one of its kind in the world. And we have students in courts and at every level of government, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, and in private practice. People are out there doing the work of law and thinking and working across legal orders and taking up all of the challenges that involves. So for today, in this beautiful wing, we're pulling on the lessons from the last 16 years of all of the work that people have undertaken. And this rebuilding of 5 legal orders across the country, Those legal orders are intended to be exemplars. They're a start for a Canada where all Indigenous legal orders can be rebuilt, can be functioning, can be doing the work of law, and enabling people to take care of themselves, their land, and this world. Our goal is to put Indigenous peoples in a place of promise and abundance, where the work then can go far beyond the constraints of program criteria, can be taken to a bigger scale, can be informed and guided by creativity, as well as our legal histories and our future hopes. It's hopeful people that create change, and those are the conditions that we have to create to do this work. So what's different? So for the first time, as you've heard, we're working at a societal level, not at a small community by community, sector by sector level. We're working to restate and rebuild all the areas of law that comprise a legal order, all the areas of law that Indigenous peoples require to be lawful and to govern themselves lawfully. So this work, we're starting with the Secwepemc peoples, leaders already in the work of Indigenous law. You'll hear lots more from the people that we're working with, and I am so proud to be able to partner with them. They bring a world of knowledge and skill and commitment and generosity. This rebuilding of Indigenous law fundamentally is about making possible symmetrical relationships between Indigenous peoples and Canada. The usual relationship has been asymmetrical, where all of the substantive law that's articulated is on the Canadian side, and Indigenous peoples have been seen as being in a deficit and forced to just bring in and apply Canadian law to fill those deficits. So that's changing. It's changing all around us and all across the country. So what's the business of Indigenous law? Canada is the business of Indigenous law. The world is the business of Indigenous law. Indigenous law matters to this country, and it matters to the world. We're all facing the undermining of civil society, the undermining of democracy, and our planet is suffering as a result. Again, the heart of law is about our ability to be lawful, to take care of our communities, our families, and each other. It means creating meaning together and problem solving together. This is why it matters so much. Today, you're stepping into this imagination, so come imagine with us. Thank you for coming and celebrating as well.
Thank you, Val, not only for those words, but for that wonderful vision of the future and for a recognition of what is truly at stake here as we do this work. Now, none of us do this work alone, and I know that you are entrusting a lot of this responsibility to Lana Lowe, Executive Director of the Next Steps program. So, Lana, I'd like to invite you to the front here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lana Lowe. I am the Executive Director of the Next Steps Initiative. I'm Dene from the Fort Nelson First Nation. My mom is Christine Pearson. My grandparents are Harry and Adeline Dickey. I'm absolutely thrilled and a little bit overwhelmed by everybody coming here today to help us celebrate this amazing project, the work of rebuilding Indigenous law. And thank you, Elder Butchdick, for the warm welcome. I'm grateful to be here in Kwangin territory. So, masicho, thank you. So you've just heard Val's vision, which drives the Next Steps initiative. And I'm honored for the opportunity to be the bridge between Val's vision and to bridge that with practice and take up the hard work of rebuilding Indigenous law in Canada. When I think about the Next Steps initiative, I think 3 words come to mind: Three words come to mind. Intensive, introspective, and innovative. This work is intensive. It's a concerted, focused effort to rebuild 5 entire Indigenous legal orders across Canada. This is no small task. The scale is significant, and the work requires a sustained effort, careful coordination, and deep collaborations at all levels within the university and in community. So I'm grateful for the support of the people here at UVic, Freya, Rosemary and Heather, Rachel, Yvonne, Fran, Liz, Will, and David for helping me navigate the world of UVic as we build our team and our community partnerships. I'm also grateful to Rebecca Johnson for your guidance and your eternal optimism as we build out this initiative. And of course, I am grateful to Laura Hamilton, the Next Steps Executive Coordinator, who has done so much of the heavy lifting, helping me get this initiative off the ground. So, merci, Laura. So this work is introspective. We are engaging in a thoughtful and deliberate approach to rebuilding Indigenous legal orders, beginning with the Secwepemc. You will hear from the Secwepemc team, their research process is just as important as the findings. When we work in our communities, it's all about relationship, and law is about relationships. Law emerges in the everyday interactions, decisions, shared understandings, and that shape how we choose to live together as a people. So the research isn't just about creating research reports, though there will be those. The research itself is the work of rebuilding Indigenous law in our communities. This work takes a thoughtful, deliberate, community-based approach to re-articulating legal principles and processes, navigating tensions and building healthy relationships throughout the research process, making decisions together, and creating space for law to emerge through inclusive research processes led by community research teams. It is our hope that by approaching the research as a process of law building, we are supporting the development of communities of practice that will continue shaping and applying Indigenous law long after this initiative ends. Next Steps is innovative. No other initiative, as we've heard, has attempted to take up the work of rebuilding Indigenous law at this scale or in this way. We are creating space for Indigenous law to grow through practice, through a relationship, and through a national approach rooted in community leadership. So with that, I'd like to turn to the first legal order under the Next Steps initiative and the amazing people that are carrying this work forward every day, the Secwepemc research team. Merci.
Thank you, Lana, so much. So we're moving into the next part of our program now, which is a bit of a dialogue and an interactive session with the leaders on the Secwepemc Legal Orders project, or the aspect of this very exciting work of the Next Steps Rebuilding Law program. So we're going to bring some chairs up on stage. I'm going to shuffle this over to the left a little bit, and we're going to do a quick reset, and we'll get into our dialogue portion of this event.
How many professors does it take? No. Swear not.
Great. So we're just going to do some introductions. I'm just going to pass the mic along.
White Julianne Peters and Squux, the Eskanist akwen kamalnet kamloop sa mumtwin. Aka elkstwin UVic as a Secwepem researcher, community researcher. Chmeriken Warren Rain, Pet Benus, Tinqua Eschmeld, Whitney Ash Benny. Yagi.
Waiko White up last as Goiklumen, Tamara Chance Quax, Twachum Kaitlam at the Stachwin, to Kelm Samutwin, Elkswin, the UVic researcher. My name is Tamara Archie. I'm from Kinna Creek, Dock Creek, of the northern part of Secwepemuluch, and I live and work in Kamloops, and I'm a part of the research team. Yeet Shooks.
Hello, my name is Lois Paul. I'm from Musqueam First Nation. I am the Next Steps UVic event coordinator, and I reside in Chase.
White up Bonnie Leonard runs Quest. I'm a member of the Council to Secwepem. Thank you for welcoming us into your territory. I'm an associate research director with this team, and I should point out Julie on the end there is also our language expert on our team. She helps us in translations and writing some of the stories out.
Last Wakelman, David Archie on Squax, Stwacham Hotlam Stuckwan. Wait.
Hello, Anna Thomas, Next Steps social media specialist.
White Cook White Up, Sunny Laborde and Squawks, Peltak to Secwepemc and Stackwin. Sunny Laborde here with my father, Richard Laborde, and one of the associate research directors. He's not proud at all. Yeah.
Oh. Wake Waitep, Rissel Coy and Squext. I am Rissel Coy. I'm also one of the associate research directors. I'm delighted to acknowledge my family from Haitlam, Canoe Creek First Nation. My grandfather was born in Dog Creek, and I also have lots of beautiful family from the Lower Statlium. So this is our whole team. We're just going to take a minute for a little photo op while we have them all here. Jeff, if that's okay, can we ditch the name tags? And now we're going to continue on the rearranging of furniture.
So just while we get the chairs set up, the next part of the discussion here is just we're going to have a bit of a panel conversation. This team has prepared some questions for us. We're going to spend about 45 minutes or so in dialogue, sort of exploring the origins of the project, the work together that we're all going to be doing, and the really exciting discoveries and actions that are already starting at this very early stage of the project.
I swear they're a friendly crowd.
All right, great. So we've already heard a little bit about you, but is there anything else you'd want to sort of say a little bit more in terms of introductions or your involvement in the project, just getting started off?
I think your questions are going to cover that off, but I'm a graduate of this law school almost 30 years ago, if you can believe that. I was sitting there reflecting on that, and it's like, wow, the world sure has changed. The building looks beautiful, and I'm really grateful to be part of this project.
Yeah, I'd just start by saying it's an absolute honor to be here, and thank you so much for welcoming us here, Chapa'a Butch. And it's phenomenal to be here with my Secwepemc relatives and these two amazing women that I'm sitting up here with. You're each jokes.
Yeah.
I'm just looking in the audience right now at Jessica Ash and a while ago, I had the privilege of helping out just a little bit on some of the work the Indigenous Law Research Unit did on the laws of Quiselton, or the laws of our relationships or membership. And it was so many of our beautiful elders and our language speakers. I'm so grateful that we have Julie as part of our team. She's such a powerhouse, and the importance of bringing our language forward is absolutely incredible. But that really planted a seed, and it was such a joy to be part of that. So I thank you, Jessica, and to everybody who took the time to come to be with us today. We need you here. We need your support today. Take in what you can. Share with us your thoughts as well. We really want to, without you, there's no law.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I think, Rochelle, that point that you raised about the work that has preceded this is a really important starting point, actually. And I think that sort of leads us to our first question, which is, prior to coming on board to Next Steps, you each had some experience working with Secwepemc law. What is something that really stuck out for you in that work?
I've been working with Secwepemc law for some time, and at least 20 years, I guess. We really got down to it when we began working towards asserting our own jurisdiction in the area of children and families. We were tasked with doing some research and try to figure out what our law would look like. This was long before C-92, the federal legislation, was passed. I think we started our work in 2009 doing our research. And we were lucky enough to be one of the first nations to work with ILRU, and Jess Ash and Rebecca Hadley was part of that when they developed this case briefing methodology that we utilized to structure our work and our research. And I'm very pleased to say that we developed the law using the research that we did over that period of time, and that 3 of our bands, our communities, are actually in the process of implementing it, using C-92 as the tool, as the leverage to get the funding to actually get operationalized. So that was one of the first areas that I worked in, and I'm really pleased with how it's unfolded.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'd probably reflect on, it's been an absolute honor and a privilege to be working with Secwepemc law for a number of years now. And one of the biggest takeaways that I've had over the last number of years is that you can't do this alone. You need to build teams, and you need to build these ripples that come out from the work that you do. And so when I was doing the work, building the team for the Stickumloops to Secwepemc Nation, and we grounded and founded it on the Trout children telling, when we built our team for the Quelmita Secwepemc and Team Scoopakin, when you build a team and you really create a foundation that is really just so deeply rooted in Secwepemc law, this work is hard. And they don't, like, oh, yay, like, oh, yeah, it sounds like it's going to be all lollipops and gumdrops, but it's not. It's hard. And it's going to be so hard that sometimes you need that North Star that helps maintain you when you're moving forward. And when you're building a team and you're building like those foundational understandings of who you are and why you're doing what you're doing, that's the work that I've seen Secwepemc law really do. And it helps create those ripples that will, move out beyond even what you could possibly imagine.
Fantastic. Yeah, yourself?
I work with Sunny on both projects, so the SSN assessment, as well as the beginning of Community Secwepemc. And you may notice I say Secwepemc. I'm from the northern part, so I still hear my Lily Harry in my ear and how she says it. We have 3 dialects in our territory. We are the spread out people. That's what Secwepemc means. So I really think about when you get to engage on the ground. When we just had our first gathering in September. But I also think about with the work that we did with bringing the family representatives and having them engaged, and they feel the stories. There's been so much disturbance in our connections, but the threads are still there. And when you give people the spaciousness to reconnect, to things that exist within them, you remind them, and you see them light up. It's absolutely very hard work, but you can see them light up, and you can see the roots go straight down, and it is a beauty to behold. And that's why I know our Secwepemc Nation is ready for this work, because there's so much work that has gone ahead. So many ancestors done it, past and current, and I really want to uplift the work both that my colleagues have done here already to really set that stage for us to be able to dive in.
Yeah, I think that really brings up an important next point for our next question too, and it's the opportunities, the responsibilities, and to a degree, maybe even the burdens of leadership. You are going first, and you're carrying a heavy responsibility and forging a path for a lot of others. And I think there's a lot of leaders in this room that have forged some hard trail, clearing the path for future generations to work on. So maybe the next question here is why is the Secwepemc Nation going forward as the first Indigenous legal order in this project? And tell me about some of the work that you've been working on to bring you to this point, because clearly it's hard work and there's more hard work to come, and certainly thank you for doing that hard work as well.
I think the Secwepemc have always had law. That's the starting point for us. We've always had it. And I think when you engage with community members to discuss Secwepemc law, you don't use the term law, because that can be quite intimidating to some people. They think law school, they think colonial court systems, and all of the things that they may have experienced in their lifetime. So a better way to frame it when we're approaching our community members to engage in this is talking about our teachings. These are some things that we grew up with. These are the stories weren't just told for entertainment. They were told to teach a lesson or teach or share knowledge with each other. And so if we approach it that way, and rather than say to our people, we're going to talk about Secwepemc law, we say we're going to talk about our teachings. And that makes it just so much easier to engage with people and talk to them about what's important.
Yeah, I think why the Secwepemc Nation? Well, I mean, we're thebomb.com, but, there might be fighting words. I might end up out in the parking lot with someone. No, but, I mean, there's been so much work that's already been done in our nation, and whether it's through ILRU and the amazing projects that have been done there, or, the project that I was most involved in, just about 10 years ago was the Kamloops to Secwepemc Nations Indigenous environmental assessment process. And that was for a proposed mine above Kamloops in an area known to us as Peepsith. And that's an area that is very deeply connected to a telling called the Trout Children telling. And I remember being at the beginning of that process, and they had just put the environmental assessment on pause so that they could do a reconfiguration of the proposed mine. And one of the reps from BC, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, we're gonna, I was talking to leadership. Yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do our own. Yeah, let's do that. And they're like, oh, you guys will never be able to do that. And I was like, hold my hush'em, because we're gonna do it. And was it a lot of work? Absolutely. But the power of that process, when it was so deeply grounded and founded on Secwepemc law, allowed us to not only bring together so many people in the work that we were doing, whether it was the families of Tk'emlúps and Skitcheson, whether it was others in Kamloops, there was so much work that was done that, at the end of the day, it's one of the first and only decisions that protected that area and made sure that not only federally, but provincially, the environmental assessment certificates were not issued. So that's the power of the work that has been done in the Secwepemc Nation, and dang proud to be from there. Great jokes.
Well, if Bonnie's not going to take ownership of all the incredible work that she helped lead out, I'm going to toot her horn, because that's what we do, right? So, when was it, 2015, when you got the mandate from so the Elders Council, from the Lands and Resources, the elders said, we have teachings, they didn't say lots, but we have teachings that will let us make better decisions, informed decisions based on our ancestral ways of knowing. So the lands and resources that came out, and then you were already working, as you said, on Shemamalt, or child and family, that goes back to 2009. And then you heard me talk a little bit about Kwasaltkin, so our laws of relationship or membership. And then, of course, I think I said Shemamalt, but it bears repeating because I know that Bonnie and Cookby Wayne Christian have really led out nationally on child and family jurisdiction, and toot toot.
Thanks for that.
Well, I think as we celebrate this too, I mean, we even started the conversation this morning about the history that's being made in this moment. And you being the team that is kind of going first, you're on the ground, you're working with your people. I mean, how does it feel to be part of this global first? I mean, are there moments where you kind of sit back and just think about the work that's happening, the scale of it, you know, where you're sitting in sort of time, and yeah, where are you at in this amazing moment that we're celebrating here today?
I think I'm overwhelmed at times. It is hard work. It's not just something that you can just do off the side of your desk. You need to focus. You need to bring teams together. And when Sonny talks about teams, we're talking about our community members as well, not just the people we introduced today, but we're talking about all of our community members and bringing them on board and working with them to work through the stories and get their perspectives on it. And then we still have to peel back another layer. So it's one thing to have a story told for entertainment, but it's another to do an analysis on it and really dig deep. So it's hard work, and it takes a lot of your brain energy. So I'm very pleased that the Secwepemc Nation is supporting us in this work because people are coming out everywhere and calling me up and going, what is this you're doing with UVic? What is this work? We're interested. We'd like to come to one of your events, you know, that kind of thing. So we've got a really good momentum. We've got people who are enthusiastic about working with us.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I had a hard time with even just coming to this event. It's you put us right out in front of everybody and said like, oh, look at them, and it feels I really grappled with it because in Secwepemc law, and from what I understand of Secwepemc Gene, is you can't brag about yourself.
Sure.
And so like I really had to grapple with the idea of how can I be here but still be lawful with Secwepemc law at the same time? Like, how am I going to be here and be humble? And the thing that really shifted my thinking was that the work that we're doing here, being here, can provide an opportunity if there is another nation, if there is someone that's thinking like, oh, maybe I'll give that a go, you know, like that kind of thing. Maybe it gives them just that little bit of a push, or maybe it just creates some awareness and builds some awareness. And when you're breaking trail, you know, I know breaking trail on horses and things like that, and you're cutting those branches and you're blazing those trees so that the next people that come along hopefully don't have to make as many mistakes as you've made, and that they'll have a path that they can follow and hopefully tools along the way as well. So I know a lot of the work that we're doing, we're taking an approach where we want to ensure that we develop tools along the way that are going to help the next legal order that comes along, the next nation that wants to do that work. And so that's the piece inside of me that's made it okay to sit up here right now.
Yeah, right on.
So you might have been worried I was running away for a minute. I was actually grabbing this. I meant to grab it earlier. This is from my great aunt Lily Harry, and in it is a book. It's a book because we get to look at books. If it's written in a book, it must be true. But this, Bonnie showed me this book because I was, you know, having my moment as well. Because one, we're doing this as a collective. We're doing this, we're not the head of anything. We're here to be the motor. not the head, the motor for engagement, for the turning. And I really learned that through the process with SSN is you have to do it as a collective, because not one of us has the piece. We have the pieces, and it comes together, and that's how law is built, is from the pieces from the collective. And we're building on things that come directly from our ancestors, figuratively and literally. This book is dedicated to my Aunt Mary Palmatier. This book carries stories from my great-aunt Lily Harry in it. This is one of the last medicine bags that my great-aunt Lily Harry made. My great-aunt Lily Harry turned to my mom and I when I was 14 years old, when unicorns roamed. When I was 14 years old, and said, "I'm your mom now," because she understood mom had been a long time without her mom. And I got not a great auntie, but a granny, Mem Harry. And she made sure that I knew how to connect to the lands. She put me behind the wheel of her pickup truck. And to me, that's our job as the first legal order, is that we can go to the next one and figuratively, not literally, perhaps literally, put them behind the wheel of the pickup truck, and also help them find and celebrate those resources that help them feel the legitimacy of the intellect and heart and values that lives within each of our nations.
Awesome. Well, I mean, very, very inspiring. And I mean, I think, I'm sure everybody's thinking about, thank you so much just for doing this work that you're doing too, and being part of this team that you're a part of as well, because, we're talking about, blazing this trail and leaving a good path for people walking behind you. And really, I think, embodying those principles of being in service of the people too, thinking beyond our individual nations and thinking collectively about all the nations in the world that are going through this process of rebuilding in the aftermath of colonization and all the some of the harm that's been done. But I think what I'm also hearing is I listen to each of you speak so passionately is about the gifts that you carry as well, and the gifts that you're bringing into this work. And the question prompt that you've given me, for the record, this is their question, not mine. And I'm not too sure, do we quantify this like on a scale of 1 to 10, or is it a percentage thing? But the question is, in service of the people, just what level of nerd do you consider yourself? And how does that help you on the nerd scale?
I actually wrote indigenerd, to be clear.
Go ahead and answer it.
Well, I mean, the nerd part is that we got to work with some great students from UVic over the summer, and they dove into the BC archives. And this one over here, getting to hear recordings of her grandmother, great-grandmother. Like, these are the things that we get to bring forward, and we're not hoarding them. To be clear, this is the most important part. This is not to build a legacy of, we're not dragons. We're related, I guess, more to the coyote than the dragon. But we're here to bring it forward for the nation and gather it so that it can be thought feasts for generations. And I think that's the most exciting part for me, is to reconnect, like I showed you that book, to reconnect to those stories. But also, there's families who've done due diligence of carrying those stories from generation to generation to generation, who've held closely to them. We've heard confirmation of certain people who say, well, they tell exactly the story. How we still tell it was how it was recorded by that thoughtful researcher. So it's next level nerd, and it is so fun.
Awesome. Okay, so we got one next level nerd. Okay, good.
Yeah, anyone who knows me knows that I'm a bird nerd, pretty much, is how I've really kind of showed up. And so just an example of like how cool it is to be a bird nerd when you're doing this work. We each have a number on our team, a number of stories that we're story stewards of. And so I've chosen to really dig into a bunch of our ancestral teachings that have the birds in them. And one guy that keeps showing up over and over, and I didn't realize he was as fierce as he is, but is Blue Jay. And Blue Jay's just wicked fierce in our stories. And he's always going to war, he's always a war chief, he's doing all of this fantastic work. And so I've learned from Blue Jay about how to show up in times of conflict. And then I've learned from Chickadee about how to be giving and how to take care of each other when you're going into war. And I look at that and I think, man, what an opportunity. These birds, these characters are going to teach us so much. Because when we do this work and we think about things like conflict resolution, what does it mean to be at war or in conflict with another nation or with each other? What does it mean to knukentuach, to help each other out? And so the birds have so much to teach us, and I'm going to nerd right out on that and make sure everybody knows all the birds that are in all the stories, because they have so much to teach us. And so that's where my nerdiness definitely goes to roost.
Oh, where's our little drum set here? We need that. But then, yeah.
That's definitely your daughter.
Yeah.
Sunny, I think, wins the prize for being the nerd on our team, if there was a prize.
The nerdiest, yeah.
Yeah, well, she didn't mention what she really nerds out on is spreadsheets. An Excel spreadsheet.
Colorful spreadsheets.
She has us so organized. It's a delight to work with someone so technologically gifted. Yeah, she makes a spreadsheet for just about everything.
Everything.
Like super nerd. I'm going to say I'm a 10 out of 10 nerd. I love history. I love research. I dive down the rabbit hole on genealogy research and archive research. I've found some real gems in this work. We were really fortunate. Wendy Wickwire shared with us some recordings of Adeline and Amy, Adeline Willard and Amy August, who were elders who have long ago passed away, but they'd recorded, her and her husband had recorded them back in the 70s. And she was really generous with us and shared all these recordings, and we had them on these little USBs, and I've been working my way through them. And the first time I sat down to listen to the recording of the elders talking about different things, they were singing songs and different things, and one of them mentions, oh, this is a song that our older sister Alice taught us, and they were talking about my great-grandmother. Had taught them this song, and they sang the song, and they said, oh, she was older than us. And I'm thinking, wow, that's crazy that she's mentioned in this recording. So it's that kind of connection that you find when you do the research that really keeps me interested and enthusiastic about learning more.
Yeah. As somebody who's worked a lot in archives, I can absolutely identify with that too. I mean, it's just all of these treasures that you come across, and then these connections that you make sometimes to your own family, to your people, and just knitting those pieces back together again. It's such powerful work. That's obviously creating a lot of research questions for you as well, and you're getting started on tackling some of the big questions that are at the start of this project. So what are some of the first couple research questions that you're tackling, and why did you choose to start with those questions?
We're in this era of elbows up, right? Everybody knows we're elbows up right now in Canada, and I have these great, beautiful minds I get to work with, and it was just the huddle of us before we had branched out our team. And again, I'm going to toot her horn. Bonnie said, what about trade and economy? And also intersocietal relations. So we sat down, we got to sit down with the beautiful Next Steps teams and really lean into their experience about how to carve out intersocietal relations and trade and economy, and ask really clear questions. They seem simple. What does it mean to be a good guest? No, simple question, but straightforward. I'll invite you two to add to that one if you want.
Trade and economy is actually a really good legal order and theme that we're researching. The Secwepemc people have always been involved in trade and economy, and one of the down the archival research hole is the Hudson Bay Company journals from the fort in Kamloops talks about how the Secwepemc wouldn't let anybody else fish in the rivers because that was their trade item. So they would control the fishing and trade with the fort for other products that they would use, and they controlled it. And so the fort people had to trade with the Secwepemc. So that was the economy they created and controlled. Another example in the archives, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Red Bridge in Kamloops and how about a year ago someone burnt it down. It was kind of a famous landmark. If you've ever had the experience of driving across it, it can be nerve-wracking. I have lost a mirror on that bridge. Anyway, that wasn't the point. My point was when I was doing the research, the Red Bridge got burnt, and it was interesting when I researched back about when it was built, because Chief Louis, who is from Kamloops, my community, he had put in a bid to the government. He'd wrote a handwritten bid to the government to provide a ferry service across the river. And he had his little price list all handwritten out about, horses and wagons. And that's what I think spurred the government to actually fund the bridge, because they didn't want to pay an Indian to take them across the river. So that's just another example of the trade and economy piece that is so important to our people.
Yeah, and I'd follow up, I think, really when it comes to this idea of intersocietal, and again, it seems like a very simple question. What does a relationship between Secwepemc and non-Secwepemc people look like? What are those situations when we had conflict in the past? And I think nowadays, especially because of all the conversations and misunderstandings around things like shared territory, or boundaries, all of these discussions that are really relevant to a lot of the work that Indigenous and First Nations people in BC are doing right now, relate to this area of law. So I think that when we look into our ancestral teachings about how our ancestors dealt with conflict and bring that forward and really look at it within a modern context, that there are a lot of pieces that we're going to be able to use to help us deal with the issues that we're dealing with today.
Right on. So you're charting this path forward, and you're embarking on the journey. You're clearing the trail. It's still early days in some ways, but for any other nation, First Nation contemplating rebuilding their legal order, what insights, what tips, what observations would you offer, at this point on your own journey?
I'm going to steal Sonny's line. Build your team. Get the right people working with you at the beginning, and ensure that you involve all of your community members wherever possible. Because this is not just us. This belongs to all of our people.
Yeah, building on that is just really the thing that we've really stuck to is this is no one person, this is no one organization. And I think that that's the real beauty around Indigenous law as well, is that it lives inside of people, and it lives and exists and expresses itself in a way that is different than Canadian or Western law. And I think that's very challenging for a lot of people to understand, because we still use the English language and terminology, and so people think law, and they think of a book and rules and courts and goofy wigs and stuff like that. And so I think that when it comes to another nation, it's no one individual, it's no one organization. It has to be something that, I love that analogy about the light or the flame. And it's about lighting that in as many people as you can. Because when that is lit from inside of everyone, not only will it fuel them and how they live their lives, when they come together, whoo-wee, that's powerful.
On a very practical sense, we just really appreciate that we're well supported in this, so that when we call on people and let's be clear, they're volunteering their time, but they're taking time away from their families. It takes resources for them to come there, that we're able to honor that, that we are able to have a team to work with us. This is not ad hoc, one little tiny piece at a time. This is a whole big thing, but we're also taking normal sized bites. We're taking on 2 questions at a time, working as a team. We're being deliberative. We have those beautiful charts that we were referring to earlier from Sunny that helps us stay on track. Where are we going? What do we need to do? We have story stewards so that we know who's doing what. We're working as a collective, absolutely, and that collective goes to every single person who comes and honors us with their time and their energy and their beautiful intellect and their heart when they come and participate in one of our gatherings, or those kitchen table discussions, or those book clubs on Zoom, or whatever we're doing. We're doing all of the things to engage, to spread the wealth, invite the wealth, because again, we're not dragons. Right? We're here to spread, to share, to ensure that we have a foundation for across the nation. So not one individual, not one person, but really a collective movement.
Beautiful vision. Now, one of the aspects of teamwork is how we work with funders, how we work with other types of support, because this stuff doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's real teams, real efforts, institutional support. Based on your journey so far, what are your observations on that, and what sort of message would you give to current or potential funders as you think about the complexity of the journey that you're on?
I think that, well, first of all, we're very grateful that we did get funding to engage in this work as a whole. My previous experience in the last 20 years has been just doing one subject at a time, and then that gets set on a shelf because we don't have the funds to continue the work to implement it and make it operational. There's so much more to it. The work that I've done in the past is the research and compiling the teachings into some sort of usable form that someone can use for decision making or things like that, but it hasn't operationalized just because we didn't have the funding. So I think it's essential going forward, if we're going to be successful in really revitalizing the Indigenous legal order, is that our funding covers the whole order. All of the different topics that are important to our people have to be researched and developed and worked with in community.
Yeah, and thank you so much to the Law Foundation for believing in this work. I think that it is an investment, right? And I think it's an investment in Canada. I think it's an investment in British Columbia. And when we do this work, it's going to allow us to create that equitable space that we need to ensure that there is a real parallel in power, in knowledge, in the strength of the system itself, so that we can create these opportunities for this multi-jurisdictional country that we live in. And so when we do that, and when we do this work, and we also do it from a place where we aren't having to write proposals after proposals, or even like I look at the case of the SSN, I mean, we were negotiating with the proponent, with Canada, to get funding to do the process, and you don't know how much money you have, and so you're doing all this work, and it ends up creating a real sense of lack, right? And so, and I think as Indigenous people, we are really, we're used to making a silk purse out of a sow's ear, like we can make just about anything out of anything else. But, do we have to? Should we have to every single time? And so I think that when it comes to the funders and when it comes to these amazing organizations that are literally putting their money where their mouth is, it allows us to tackle this work from a place of strength and abundance. And that is not something that we get to do very often. So I'm super grateful, and yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. You good? Yep. Okay, great. Part of the undertone, perhaps in a way, of this entire conversation too, is just the complexity of the times that we live in as well. Globally, domestically, I mean, this province is starting to see some pretty wild rhetoric popping up in the public sphere. I mean, these are concerning times in a lot of different kinds of ways. We are in an era of misinformation, malinformation, denialism, contestation of Indigenous rights. I mean, growing organization around some of this stuff. So, you know, it's an interesting time that we live in. What reflections do you have on the work that you're doing given these realities of the time that we're living in, and how is your work contributing to, you know, perhaps contesting some of these more negative aspects that we're seeing arise in society?
As somebody who has a depth and breadth of background in communications and facilitation, one of the things that I love about working in community, one of the things I love about serving our people is we're relational and we're inclusive. So when our legal order stands up, we're reminding people of a other way of doing and knowing. We're challenging that rhetoric and those ugly perspectives to something that is time immemorial but true. You know, the basis, you know, nerding out on birds with Sunny, or looking at some of the beautiful stories about her great-grandmother, with Bonnie. When we look at any of this, we hear so much embedded in the very base of our teachings about the law of reciprocity and respect. It's as simple as that. Reciprocity and respect. And when you hear that rhetoric, what I hear is people forget that you can ignore me all you want. You can say all the hateful things you want. Whether you want to or not, we're still in relationship by being in the same planet, being in the same space. And so we might as well figure out a way forward, because I know I'm trying, I know they're trying, I know our team is trying, and we are exemplifying that just the same way that our ancestors called upon Sir Wilfrid Laurier to be like brothers. Because when we're being like brothers, we're upholding each other up from a place of strength and abundance. Because to be clear, we're grateful to be operating from a place of strength and abundance through Next Steps and the vision of Val and Lana and many people who preceded them. We're grateful for that, but we want Canada to operate from a place of strength and abundance. And when you stand up our legal orders, we're helping build out that foundation of strength and abundance for all.
I think that that was good. Very convincing. I think that now more than ever in this political climate that we're observing all of the racism and hatred, I think now more than ever is the time to be supporting the revitalization of Indigenous law. You got to think about the situation that we're in was because of Canada's law, BC's law, not Indigenous laws. They applied those laws in court, in BC's courts, and came up with a decision. And people don't like that decision. What if they would have used Indigenous law? Would the outcome have been different? The idea of reciprocity and about being treating your guests with respect and feasting with them, those sorts of things, those are our teachings. And so I think now more than ever is the time for the world to see the value of Indigenous law and the legitimacy of it and begin utilizing it for better outcomes for everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd follow up. I think one of the pieces that I think is really important to do in this work moving forward to help tackle some of the blatant racism and the super political rhetoric that's out there is not just about the law, but the legal framework and how the law is actually implemented. And when we look at Western law, Canadian law, provincial laws, and the way that they're implemented in the system, the way it's constructed currently, I think that people in general find themselves dissociated or not associated, and they don't necessarily have that connection to the law itself or how it's being implemented. And so I think that Indigenous law really provides an opportunity for people to connect to the law, but also connect to the land and to each other in a way that is fundamentally different in how that law, how that legal, the governance structure and things like that, people don't necessarily see themselves reflected in a lot of the decisions that are being made. And so I think that when we do this work, it's going to allow where we create and make that space for a transformational shift, because we know that in our home territories, whether it's documents like the Memorial to Sir Wilfrid Laurier or others, that this is something that our ancestors have been working on and trying to do for hundreds of years now. And so when we take that opportunity and we can showcase it in a way that ensures that it does elevate and kind of add to people's lives, that's going to really help take a bunch of that fear away, I think.
Fantastic. Well, that about brings us to the end of the formal questions that we've got, but you know, it's such a rich conversation. I mean, I'll just offer any final remarks that you have to our guests here, and anything that you haven't had a chance to say, because you know, it's so important, this work that you're doing, and you know, you're approaching it with such thoughtfulness, this embracive team, this profound connection to the past, present, and future, and with this fierce commitment to not only making things better for your peoples, but also for Canada and really the world as a whole, taking care of all of our relations. So just offer any final thoughts that you might have.
For anybody active in Indigenous law in Canada and who's thinking, maybe there's never a perfect time, there's never a right time, just do it, brave up. Our ancestors did. Our ancestors were unrelenting. So I really encourage anybody contemplating this. We dove in feet first, backwards, forward, sideways, but we got going and we figured it out, and we keep on figuring it out. Yes, we have plans, but we revisit those plans. It's messy, messy work. Law is messy work, and it is beautiful work. It is grounding work, and it is amazing. And you're building forward for a greater good.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would just say, you know, when the guru comes to you and says, hey, I want you to help do this work, you're like, okay, here we go. I don't know what I'm getting myself into. But absolutely, so my hands up to Val, to all the amazing people at UVic. This is such an honor and privilege to work on. It is very much a hold my husham kind of moment for me. And I love being on the cutting edge of things. And I love, you know, you have to approach it with a tenacity that you're going to take that next step and you don't know if there's anything there to step on. But you do that work. And so to have that grit and, you know, walking in the footsteps of our ancestors, but also a lot of the people who have done that amazing work already. Yeah, just hands up and thank you. It is such an honor, such an honor.
Thank you all for coming here today and listening to us and learning about the work that we're doing. I just want to quote our language commissioner, Ron Ignace, a former chief of Skitchison. When he talks about this work, he describes it as walking on two legs. One leg in the Western world and the laws and the teachings there, and then the other leg is in Secwepemc law. And so that's the way we approach this work, is when we're standing up our laws. You may have heard that expression, but that's what it means, is walking on both legs. And so again, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you, Sunny, Bonnie, Russell. Thank you so much. Collect some mics. What a fantastic and rich conversation, and just thank you for sharing not only your knowledge, but also your spirit and your generosity of spirit as you share the teachings that you're learning as you start on this very important journey. Here.
I still need it.
There you go.
Thanks. As reciprocity goes, as one of our teachings in our law, this is a coyote pelt that was harvested by a Sequepum trapper? Travis? Yeah. Coyote in our stories is sometimes known as a trickster, but more importantly, the coyote is the teacher. The coyote in our stories very often teaches what the law is, what the lesson is, he holds the teachings. And it's a common theme that we see in most of our stories. And it's for that reason that we would like to call up Dr. Val to come up and receive this as a gift from us. It's very fitting that the coyote is the teacher, much as Val has been ours for us, and we thank you. Cook's Jam.
Too bad we're all parched over here now. Just push on through. So I have the honor to present a gift to Josh and the Law Foundation. This is a beaver pelt that me and my son both worked on, and a red willow hoop that we've had it hung on. And I'm not sure for many who know in Secwepemcsheen, now when you talk about money, you talk about skalout or chenchichens, but skalout. And so skalout actually originally is the word for beaver. And of course with the fur trade and everything, that's where that word really kind of derived from. And so now we have the opportunity to do a little, we're giving you a skalout ooey for the skalout that you gave us. So. So please enjoy.
And lastly, speaking of our bird nerd over here, we needed a place to roost and to be connected to. So I'd like to call upon our acting president, Rabina. And also from a trapper, also, as our understanding that ermine are important to you, so we have some ermine and some medicines of the land for you in a cookum scarf. So, chacham. Oh, we gotta sing. Got so excited howling like a coyote, I forgot that we're going to do an honor song for her, all those that we, for you, Vic, for Next Steps team, just of course for, first and foremost for our host First Nations here, and so we're going to do the honor song.
Let the Sachinam Mitchell honor song. This comes from our one of our communities, Eskedem people of the White Earth. We have our esteemed elder Dave Bellew and his wife Marilyn with us, Elder Richard. We're so blessed to be able to stand on the shoulders, the hard work, the sacrifice, and all of those hard and heavy things that our ancestors, our parents and grandparents had to endure so that we could be taking our time in this circle that we call life, and make sure that we do our best to hand down a great inheritance and a great connection to our ancestors all the way back. So this song honors all of those people, all of our ancestors, and for those yet to come, the Mitchell Honor Song. Wait.
Well, thank you so much for that beautiful song and that beautiful honoring of all those past and present and future. And we've already heard about one very important person to this whole day that we're celebrating today, but I'd like to offer Josh Patterson, Executive Director from the Law Foundation of BC, the opportunity to come up and offer a few words as we gather here today in celebration of this wonderful Next Steps program.
Thank you very much. First of all, Cooks Chechalp for the beautiful gift, an unexpected gift to Sunny and your family, and to everyone from the Secwepemc community who contributed to that for the foundation. It's very, very meaningful and very touching. My name's Josh Patterson. I am of settler ancestry. My name is a Scottish name, but I have ancestors from England and Ireland and from France, settling in different parts of Eastern North America, and I myself grew up in in the territories of the Six Nations of the Grand River, in the Haldimand Tract, which was also Anishinaabe territory in what's now colonially known as Waterloo, Ontario, but I've been here in these territories for 20 years. I want to say Haitsek Katsiam to everyone who welcomed us here today from Songhees Nation. Thank you so very much. It's a privilege to be here, and to the faculty for having us. And Cook's Chechelp to the Secwepemc folks who have invited us to join with you on this really special day today. It's beautiful to see so many people and so many faces and friends coming together in support of this important work, and lots of people that I've had the privilege to know and learn from too in past work, everyone coming around in such a warm and a wonderful way. And it's with a lot of humility that I really get this honor on behalf of the Foundation of being able to stand in front of you today. Imagine that I get to follow these incredible thinkers like Bonnie and Russell and Sunny and their families and the whole team. I want to recognize Julianne as well. We had a lovely cab ride here today, and I know that the work of bringing language and language expertise and learning into all of this is going to be so important. I'm really mindful, and if I may just be indulged for a moment, thinking of the work that we're doing here today, thinking of some of the folks that I've had a real privilege to spend time with and learn from in similar work to this over time. Not only Val, but Geraldine Thomas-Fleur and Jackie Thomas from SICAS, and Gerald Amos from Heisla, Professor Darlene Johnston, and of course her cousin John as well, at different times in my career. People that I've had who have spent time with me and on me as a settler person so that I can be better in the work that I do, and I bring all of that to standing in front of you today. Foundations get plenty of thanks. It's actually a big part of a job. If you're working at a foundation, you go around, and sure enough, you get thanked. But we have the really easy part of the work. The thanks are really due to all of the teams and the people who are doing this work here at the faculty, in community, the people who will do work yet to come, sitting around kitchen tables, sitting in halls, who don't even know yet that they're going to be involved in this project. Those are the people that really deserve the thanks. The generations of people and knowledge keepers and practitioners who, as we've been talking today, have kept those lights alive, waiting for the moment that those lights may grow. So on behalf of the Law Foundation and our governors and staff, it's such a privilege to be welcomed, to be in relationship with you in this work. The Law Foundation is an independent foundation. It's set up to fund all kinds of different legal and law-related things in the province of British Columbia. A lot of frontline legal services for low-income folks right across the province, but also we are funding a lot of work in Indigenous legal orders and in Indigenous frontline legal services within the Canadian legal system as well. The Foundation has a vision where systems of law, plural, systems of law, allow people to thrive in dignity. And not just systems of law, but systems of law and justice, recognizing that law and justice don't always track each other, haven't always followed each other. And we really do have a vision at our foundation of a Canadian system in which Indigenous systems of law and authority stand parallel, provide a basis for communities to live their lives in the way they want to have health, to have dignity, to create the futures that they want to. And it requires, as Val said, a bigger kind of imagination for what life and law can be like in Canada. And we really think at the Law Foundation that the Next Steps project can make that a reality, and we're so proud to have been invited to quietly partner in the work. For us, it feels like a really important and a rare opportunity for a foundation to support something that is truly transformational, that's unique anywhere in the world, to do the work, to support folks doing the work, not piecemeal, as has been mentioned. I think it was Bonnie you were talking about that, but to do it in a way that is whole, that is entire, that allows people the space to really do the work. Work that's going to guide relations in their communities, between humans, between species, between communities for generations to come. And it takes tremendous human and financial resources to carry that work out. It's not work, as we've heard, that happens just sitting here at a university in a classroom or at a desk. It's long and slow work that happens, yes, at a university, but also, and importantly, mostly in communities, in homes, in halls, on the land. We know as a Law Foundation that this work is going to take years. This isn't a quick turnaround. We're not going to be getting back a report that's talking about, how many widgets were produced, last month. That's not the nature of this work. We are privileged to have been asked to support this over the long haul, and that's what we intend. We see it as deeply relational work, as we've heard Lana and Sarah and Val talk about. And our support for this project has really emerged from the immense trust that we have as the Law Foundation of BC for the work that is done, not only the work that's been done here at the faculty and within ILRU, but the work that we've seen be done with communities, such that when this project came forward a few years ago, this was very easy for us to say. There weren't logos yet, there weren't any of this stuff. This was an idea, seeds of an idea, and we were so honored to have even been asked or considered, would you think about supporting this work? And so I want to speak to other foundations who may be here in the room, maybe you're watching on YouTube, maybe you're going to watch the video later, so you're not live. But this is such a unique opportunity for philanthropic foundations to contribute to truly transformational work that is going to change the face of Canada for the better. It's not work, by and large, that governments are very well suited to do and to see through over the long haul. Foundations are uniquely situated to do that. And so anyone who's here today from a foundation, anyone who's listening, anyone who watches the video later, I would really encourage you to reach out to, of course, to the faculty and to Val and to the folks here. But if you're interested in knowing what it's been like for us as a foundation to be invited into this work in this privileged way, and how you might be able to join in that relationship of robust support, please reach out to me directly, because we can really help to spur this change in what is possible to even imagine, not only here in BC, but creating models right across the country. So I want to thank you all again for having us here. Wish you, the team, particularly in Secwepemc Nation, the best of luck for all of the difficult work ahead that's going to have twists and turns and setbacks and different things, and it's going to be long, and we know you're going to do it. Haichep Kasiyam again, Cooks Chechelp, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Josh, and thank you, on behalf of everyone for your support of this very, very important project. So we're coming just more or less to the end of our program today, this wonderful celebration that we've all joined in together. Lana's at the front, who's going to be making some final remarks and acknowledgements, and also Rebecca Johnson, one of our colleagues here in the faculty, is also going to be coming up and talking about some of the beautiful gifts that are here for all of us as well. So maybe I'll turn it over to Lana here.
Wow. I'm so thrilled, blown away, and I got a little teary when the honor song was happening because of the power in the room and the power of the work that's happening and that will happen. Thank you all for being here today to celebrate this work and to really wrap your arms around the work and the vision of the future that we've all heard today. I think one of the big messages I've heard today is when Indigenous law is strong, Canada is strong. And I think that's the future that we're working towards, really uplifting our own laws, our own communities, our own ways of thinking and being in this world, and influencing a future that's better for everybody. So I just wanted to leave it there. And we have some gifts for our presenters, and Rebecca was, once we do the gifting, Rebecca has some gifts as well for everybody here. So, merci. Thank you so much.
So just quickly, in terms of, as listening to everything today, I've been thinking about the question of how this matters for the work of Canada, and particularly as someone who was raised in, as a settler in Treaty 7 territory, birthed her children in Mi'kmaq territory on the East Coast, lives and works here in these beautiful Salish territories, and has spent nearly every summer of my life in Secwepemc territory as well. The question that always comes back to me is, how is it that we learn how to be lawful and to lean into the laws of all of these lands as we figure out how we connect in various different ways? So at the back, before you leave, I'm hoping you'll go pick up a pendant from the back that I call the multi-juridical legal order pendant. That was, because I'm a legal theorist, made this summer thinking again about this project where the clay has been taken and I've added different colors to it and then kneaded it and pushed it, thinking about how life does this for us. We're flung into life in conditions not of our choosing from the land, and then those pieces of clay have been cut apart from each other, so each one is connected from one side to someone else's pendant within the room, and then they've been subject to the fire that transforms us and draws from the world, carries us forward in these ways of connection. So it's something that helps me think about what it means for me being in Secwepemc territory and the incredible, powerful ways that Indigenous law can transform who and how we are and build us into relationships that will be firm and strong for us all. So please take one at the end as another way of thinking about how we are all harnessed to this good work together in all the ways that will hopefully transform our imaginations and our hearts. So thank you so much for being here today.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Rebecca and Lana, for that very important part of the event. And that pretty well brings us to a close for today. There is a reception to follow, and everybody is very welcome to stay. I guess just for my own few personal words of reflection on this incredible day that we've shared together. You know, we've heard a lot about this country that we call Canada, and this this challenging and difficult union that it marks, and the promise, the opportunity, and the challenges that still lay ahead for us. And that's so summarized in this idea of next steps. You know, for me personally, on Friday, I'm going to be traveling out to Winnipeg, the Red River territory, Treaty 1 territory, because there's an important ceremony that's happening there on Saturday that's going to mark 1 year, the 1 year passing of Mazina Gizek Iban, Marie Sinclair. So I'll be back there, and you know, I've been thinking about him so much today, and I think coming up to this anniversary. Why that Iban part is added to his name is because since his passing, he's been on his journey back home, walking his path over about a year. And each time his name is said, it's said that, you know, he stops and he turns and he listens. And we say the Iban in order to encourage him to keep going on that path so he gets back home to his people. But I know today, if he has stopped and he paused, he would be very proud of what has happened here. And he would be very proud of seeing this incredible group of people that is gathering to do this critically important work for reconciliation, this critically important work of leaving this country better than we found it. And most importantly, doing that with the fierce determination and unwavering hope that we can overcome the challenges that we've inherited. And that when we build this path and when we build these trails, it's going to be those generations that walk upon this afterwards that will have an easier time to confront their own challenges. Because we know that's one of the most important things with law and with these legal orders, is that there will be challenges again that come in the future. But if we continue to walk with good heart and good mind, keep these principles and values that are being surfaced through this work very near and dear to our hearts, I know that we're walking on a good and virtuous and just path. So with that, thank you very much for inviting me into this space today as your MC. It has been an absolute privilege to witness this event, to celebrate in this event, and most importantly, to see the incredible strength and vision and determination that was on display here today. Thank you very much. Get home safe to all of your families, and I wish you all the very, very best. Miigwech. Merci.
Sorry. The 4 o'clock storytelling?
Oh, okay. Do you want me to say something about that? Okay, what do I say about that? Sorry.
It's here.
Okay, sorry.
Before we go, everyone, I just wanted to remind of the 4 o'clock showcase that we're having in this room. Kenthan Thomas is doing some storytelling. And Russell, do you want to talk a bit about that? Because I'm not sure what it is.
Don't worry about it.